And we're back with blue. First card we've got up is Healing Natural Girl, Mayuri Shina. So this is hmm, I forgot this card existed. If I knew it existed, I would not have given that red pump card very much credit at all. When this is placed from hand to stage, check the top card of your deck. If it's either a Labman or a Metal Upa event, which is we'll get to it. Put it in your hand, ditch card from hand to waiting room, otherwise put it back. When this attacks, give a Labman character 1/5. In addition to being a superior type of pump, because like 1k and 1 level is it's significantly worse than 1/5 if you ask me, because the 1 level is often a detriment.
I don't know why
Um,
they do that
oh,
kind of thing. Still,
God knows, like bad
it's like
cards
such
have to
a
exist.
it's such an antiquated, but it's not even bad in a way that's like meaningful.
I mean,
It's just bad.
yeah, you're not wrong. It is just not good. Like a lot of decks actually suffer from having that instead of just an extra 500 power because
Yeah,
it's an open liability at
yeah.
times.
I think
Anyway,
it's like a super lame thing. I think
yeah.
for effects like
You don't
that.
have to play metal. Yeah, you don't have to play Metal Uber for this card to be perfectly reasonable. It's just a top check, and that's totally fine.
It's also blue.
C plus is about right. It is blue, which is this is a
It's your
a
best
fine
blue
card to
level
just,
zero, basically.
yeah, you chuck like 2 or 3 of this in, and you don't feel too bad about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like another blue zero we can consider, but for now this is fine.
Uh,
Uh,
we'll see.
Metal Uber is interesting. So while I did say that you don't need to play Metal Uber. This is certainly a card worth consideration. So it's a 1/1 event. If you have no Labman characters, you can't play this from hand. Fake news. Choose a character, and that character gains the ability. This does not reverse. So turns off clock kicks, turns off on reverse anything, including like level 1 combos. Uh, Saves a character, always good. Well, you're paying 1 to not lose a card, I guess. You're still losing a card, but you're not losing any field. Uh, yeah, it's not an effect we've seen very often. It's like a sack counter that doesn't need to sack,
Yeah. When you put it like
and as a
that.
result, it's a lot cheaper, right?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, so as opposed to paying 3, you only pay
well,
1.
have we seen? Well, that's not true. I mean, like you only need to. It's only those card counters are only expensive because they're anti-change, right? If
Yeah,
we
yeah, of
compare this to
course.
Dragon Strike is cheaper.
Yes, it is. And Dragon Strike can, I mean, well, yeah, it's cheaper. That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
Would you play this card?
Probably not. It's like
I think it's
super.
fine.
It's the nature of the card means you don't really get like great returns at level one using this card. I think the
Yeah, the
biggest
stock cost
application,
is.
yeah, the biggest application for the card is at level three. But like, I think you'd have to have a really good reason to run this card.
If this costs 0, would you play it?
Yeah, probably.
I think so too. I
Yeah.
think if it costs
The
0,
stock
it'll be an
cost is
entirely different card.
honestly, yeah, the stock cost honestly would change it a lot. Because one stock is
I
pretty
still
valuable.
think this card is definitely worth consideration because as far as I'm convinced, this is like if we had our old meta rating, do we have old meta? I don't know. If we had it, this card would be up for consideration because this is not an effect you see very often.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
we talk up denying reverses a lot, like with Attack on Titan and shit. This does a very similar thing. It's just at a cost I am not.
if this had a
What
comparable, if this had an Aaron combo, that'd be pretty sick. Um,
what if this card read all of your Labman characters do not reverse this turn?
that would be pretty fan. That would be ridiculous, right? it's
I agree. It would be a one
you
cost
going
plus
one
two.
for yeah. I mean, yeah, that'd be ridiculous.
But if it
That would be
cost,
so absurd.
what
Cost
if it
like
costs
two,
two?
I'd still run it.
It
I
would
think
still be
it's
really,
still
really
so
good.
good. It's
It would
still
still
so
be
good.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
like if you have
I
level
I
threes,
would,
if you commit to level threes to board, like you get to save all of
man.
them
Well,
for.
we're going off the deep end
This is
now. But
like
like, what if this had like an alternate version, which was like a 3/1 that did what I just said?
sure. I mean, yeah,
I
I'd
think
play it.
that would almost be that would be pretty worth playing, especially because a lot of cards in this set dig.
Yeah.
Or like
I'd play it.
a card you play digs, a card you play digs. But as it is, merely a C. Powerful effects, slightly overcosted.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not slightly overcosted. It's just a bit too expensive for me to want to run. It is fairly costed in terms of balance. Right. Irreplaceable Being, Mayuri Shina. This is the support we've been alluding to in the red cast. It's an assist for 2k in front. When you place this from hand to stage, you may ditch a card from hand. If you do, heal the top card of your deck to stock. And tap 2 Labman characters to swap between your level zone and your waiting room. And then give a character 1 level, because, I don't know, they like doing that. Don't give this card the level, because if this gets anti-changed, that could be upsetting. Would it be? No, I probably wouldn't care too much. Yeah, you can give this card the level. Yeah, this is decent in standby. Probably decent in like a generic deck, like a Mayuri Waifu or Kurisu Mayuri deck. It's a generically good heal, I think. Yeah, it doesn't plus or anything, but it's a heal when you need it to be. You can stand by it out for value otherwise. I'm pretty fine with this card. Any comments? You've actually
No,
played with it, I presume.
it's a good card. It's a fine card.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems pretty decent. Miko of the Yanabayashi Shrine, Luka Urushibara, 329k. When you play it from hand to stage, look it up to X cards, where X is the number of your Labman, and add 1 to hand, ditch the rest. When this attacks, give a Labman 1/5 for the turn, and Encore, discard a Labman card from hand to waiting room. It's 2018, I guess. It was 2018, and they still felt the need to print so many dud double R's.
This is fine. No, this is totally well. Okay, it's not good as a double R, but I think this is a solid card. To be honest,
If this was an R, I would be slightly more happy about it.
like
Like I'm not
I
letting
think the
this. I'm not
combination
letting
of
this.
hand encore and the power
Go on.
pump is actually pretty substantial.
I'm not looking down on this card in like from that perspective. Like it is a fine card. I'm going to give it like a C plus probably. It's a cantrip. It does this pumpy thing, and it's 2 soul. It turns everything in your hand to a 2 soul beater, which is totally fine. But this should not have been a double R. This is a solid card. Like
yeah.
this is the sort of card I would not be against running 1 of. I just think anyone opening this card in their booster pack is going to be mildly upset. Okay, Hidden Feelings, Luka Urushibara. When this is placed from hand to stage, look at the top card of your deck, put it either on top or on bottom of your deck. Then when you play Climax, you may return this to hand. If you do, choose one of your characters to gain 1k till the end of your opponent's next turn. Super slow pseudo value engine. Is this something you care about?
No.
It gets you 1 step closer to triggering standby. Is this like the other playable level 0 blue fix?
No.
If so, that's extremely depressing.
Yes. Sorry. The answer to that question is yes.
Hmm.
There's a brainstorm.
Right, well, yeah, it is definitely a brainstorm. 0-0 and a dude. Well, the name is that's not actually the name. The name is that line where he goes and describes how beautiful and feminine he is, and then he goes Daga or Tokoda, and then all the trap lovers go nuts. It's a 0-0 support in your opponent's turn for all your Labman characters, which is basically everything. And it's a 1-cost non-tap brainstorm, which has left me disinterested already. Flip the top 4 cards of your deck for every climax, search your deck for a Labman, add it to your hand, ditch a card from hand to waiting room. This is a card I'm always happy for a deck to have access to, but never a card I'm happy running in a deck, because that usually means your deck is somewhat lacking on mill options. It's fine otherwise.
I think it's solid. I think it's okay if like stock doesn't matter.
It's
that
not
much.
horrible. It's not horrible. It's just not good either.
Yeah.
Mood Maker of the Lab, Mayuri Shina. This is a 2k counter at level 1. Your favorite profile. This is fine for any deck to have access to. I still don't think it's significantly better than a 1/5 counter, but it's a fine card to have access to. It's a strict upgrade to those cards. So yeah. Alright, 1/0 Mayuri. Future written by you, Mayuri Shina. This is more of a slap climax, which makes it great. This is when this attacks, if you've got the book in the climax zone and you have another labman, oh, what a requirement. Look up the 4 cards from the top of your deck, search up the one labman character, add it to your hand, ditch the rest.
Solid
This
card.
is, it's Maguro. It's a fine card. It gets you through the first deck really fast. It's a plus in combo that doesn't need to reverse, and this one is on a book, so it's going to be 6k, which is not embarrassing, but not particularly special either.
The other draw is the
Um,
2/2 that the combo climax also combos with.
yes, the yellow,
The fake Hanakawa.
what's his name? Yes, the fake Hanakawa. But either way, this is like a fine card. This is what I've come to regard as baby mode for climax combos. You just do it, and you pick the best out of the 4, and then you're happy. There's no setup required, no building around it required. It's fine, and it's effective, and it'll do its job. All right.
Yes.
Yes. I don't have much else to say about it. Next card, Rhinet Children, Mayuri Shina. If you have 2 more other Labman characters, this gains 2k and Hand Encore. If only this was like 500 smaller and cost 0, this would almost be playable.
No, it's tough. It's totally playable.
I don't like this. Like,
You run it in a standby deck.
yeah, but
Have I told you about my the best Steins Gate build?
yeah, the best Steins Gate build is like worse than the 5th best Bang Dream build.
You run 4 of this and 4 of the promo 1/1. Did we cover that?
Ugh.
Oh,
No,
we
and I
did.
don't really.
Uh-oh.
We can do it when we get to the promo, if at all.
Oh, well, it's not I forgot about it.
All right.
But
All right. Next card. Thinking of Little Sister. That's definitely not it. That's Ocarin or something or other.
Oops.
Loves Ocarin? I'm not sure.
Look at that,
Something Ocarin.
man.
What does it say? Ocarin's Hostage, Mayuri Shina. It's 2/1 anti-change counter. It's an anti-change counter. That's about it. This is slightly worse in a deck that has access to that 2/1 assassin card. But at the same time, it's good. It can gain you some tempo. It can nuke a card. It's a sack counter. Like, there's still a reason to play this over the 1/1 Metal Upa, basically. You can salvage this, you can
More
sack
versatile.
things with it, which can just be useful. Yeah.
It just does more
And
in the slots.
You can also just use it as a counter, which is fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a fine card to have access to. Next card, Convergence of Death, Mayuri Shina. It's a 0/0, another Brainstorm. Hang on. Hang on. Isn't this just a worse version of the Ferris?
No.
Oh, it gains a level. Whatever.
It
gains a level. Pay 1, tap 2.
I mean, they cost search. Brainstorm is different there from draw 2 ditch 1, or like they saddle like different effects with the draw 2 ditch 1 climaxes. I mean brainstorm.
Yeah, so it's tap 2 search Brainstorm. Yeah, whatever. It's better than Ferris because it's a search Brainstorm. At the start of your climax phase, give a character 1 level, 500 power. I'm not that impressed by that effect. It's basically meaningless, but it is a search Brainstorm, so we can't give it a particularly bad grade. Because you'll be happy whenever you play it.
Yep.
Next card, the Proof of Being a Lab Member, Mayuri Shina. Come and play Ditch Climax to salvage a Labman character. Fine profile to have access to in any deck. This is another card you consider to use as fixing for blue. It's just a fine card. It gets you what you need on demand. Next card, Trap. Luka Urushibara. 3-5, can't side attack. D? Really? This is fine, right?
There's no reason to run this.
For blue?
For blue? But you
No,
have blue fixing
seriously.
already, right?
Yeah, but it's not good blue fixing. Like, you wouldn't begrudge me for running a card like this, would you?
What? I'm talking about the other blue fixing is better than this card.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced it is.
You
This is
just
just a
run
3-5
other
that could
cards
plus.
that run this role, right? In other colors, like the runner, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still giving it like a C. I think it's fine.
Nah.
I don't think there's any problem with this card. It's not a great plus, but it's a plus, usually. Oh, we finally got into this garbage.
Hey.
I don't want to read all this. As a lover, Luka Rushibara. If you have the other 1-0 Luka in your level zone, this gains 1-5. Wait. Yes, the other one gains 1-5. When this attacks, if Fractal Androgynous is in the climax zone, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Labman, add it to hand, otherwise put it back. The best part about this card is the fact that it uses the climax Fractal Androgynous, which is one of those senselessly cool phrases that Okabe loves using. It's just a worse version of the Maguro as far as I'm concerned. Like, yeah, it's 6k on defense, but is that really going to matter? Probably not. Alright.
Cool.
God, this sucks.
Wait,
1-0.
Bigger? I'm pretty sure they get 1k from the dude, from the Okabe.
Oh god.
Yeah, they get
Yeah,
1k.
you're right.
They're
That's
7k. This the 1-0 thing is 7k.
Alright, dude, we get it. You like traps.
I'm just trying
Alright.
to make dude. Would you still does the rating
Trying
change?
to
Probably not. It's like a huge slot for them.
No.
But it is like
Because
better, quote unquote, right?
It's better than I was rating it as.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the rating. It's still not great.
Yeah.
Because I value selectivity much, much, much higher.
I mean, you can't really say it's like a worse Magro anymore though, because like I think 7k is like significant.
Yeah, there is disparity, but in terms of selectivity, it's much worse. Look, if it had a different condition for like the additional power, I would rate it a lot higher. Like for example, if this was say, like
Dude,
the Army
imagine if this
Mami
were
from
Joker.
yeah, like if this was
cool.
Joker or Army Mami, or if it was like even the frigging Shining card, basically anything that can swap between.
Yeah.
So if you have the choice to have either like a 10k assassin or the potential plus, I would actually value it higher. But as it stands, I'm only gonna you need this card for the other cards to be any good, so I'm giving it the same rating.
No.
It's not. This is definitely worse than the other card. Don't get me wrong, but you need to clock this at some point. So I have to give it the same rating. Next card is 0-0 Mayuri, assist 500, and climax combo. When your opponent levels up, if you have Stardust Shake Hand in the climax zone, look it up the 4 cards from the top of your deck, add a Labman to hand, and put the rest in the waiting room. This should have been a 2-soul.
Probably.
I don't really have anything to add. If this was a 2-soul, there would have been many, many more upset people in the world. Mayushi Nyanyan, Mayuri Shina. When you place this from hand to stage, if you have another Mayuri or Ferris in on the stage, this gains 2k for the turn. When this attacks, give a character 1k for the turn. I think this is strictly worse than the double R Mayuri. Like it even has the same name.
Which double?
And I do not think.
TD card?
No, I mean the one that attacks and gives 1/5.
That's the TD card.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, the TD card. Sure. I value that, like the Bride Ram. I value the top check so much more than the ability to attack as a 3/5 that I just do not regard this card as anything of worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not the name of this card. Sex Conversion. Luka Urushibara. 0025. Pay 1, sack this to salvage an IBN Gorsen Hyaku. I don't know. Like, how do you rate a card like this? Like, after playing with cards like
Does this suck?
Ryuji and Calling Card, yeah, this sucks because it's like you're jumping through. It's like an 8-card commitment to have one copy of
It's like a
like
one.
Dead
It's like
Kids from
the
Kisniver or
world's
whatever.
shittiest 1/1 check top 4.
Pretty much. Plus you make other cards worse by having events in your deck. But even so, like the overall effect, like what you end up getting, is not complete garbage. It's just mostly garbage. I don't want a 1-cost mill for. Like, who wants a 1-cost mill for? Nobody. Imagine if this card was when front attacked, do this. That's a card, right?
Like a field. Yeah, you could say it's.
When it is front attacked, pay 1, sack this to get an IBN 5, whatever.
Yeah, that's a kind of card.
That's like a good card, right? But this card is not good.
I don't think it's a good card. It'd just be more playable card than it currently is.
What do you mean? It's a 1-cost plus.
But it's like a crappy card on board.
Sure, but like it's
Like,
still a 1-cost.
I don't know.
Like,
I
yeah,
don't
whatever.
think it would be that great. It would just be fun.
I'm not.
Like, right? Because like
Sure.
pluses are just like way better now. Maybe back like.
Sure, but you're also denying a reverse. You're also getting the ability to mill for, sculpt your hand a bit better. I don't know. It's a hypothetical anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's the cost and timing I was just talking about. 105k. When your other, oh wait, no, it's not. It's slightly different. When your other labman is front attack, pay 1, sack this, give something 2/5. That's actually a lot of power. Like that's more than I'm used to seeing on these cards.
You can stand by this.
That's cute.
I'm not entirely serious, but yeah,
It's
fine.
cute but not good. It is fine. Yeah, I don't hate this card. This vanilla gets a D. Does it get a D? Yeah, it gets a D. There's like a serious consideration.
For the waifu deck? Yeah.
No. Like I'm thinking, would I rather play this card or the 1/0 red Kurisu that has the can't front attack higher level? Like what would I rather play? It's actually kind of a tough question, right? Our next card is a 2/1 anti-change bomb.
Bigger on play. Well, there's not even. I don't think there's even a question.
It's also big on defense. When this is reversed, la-di-da, it's an anti-change bottom deck bomb. It's a fine card for any deck to have. Yeah, that's about it, really. It's significantly worse now that Hinologi is dead.
They'll release a deck that.
Yeah, and they already have. It's called like Darling in the Franks, and it's freaking awful.
I'm shivering in my boots.
Yeah. 2/1 Mayuri Shina. When another labman attacks, it's against 1/5, so it attacks a 9/5. Not very impressive at all. And finally, we get to the events. IBN Gosen Hyaku or whatever. It's Chuhai's camera. It is a fine card. Why does this have an alternate art? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's
I'm so confused.
They use the slide.
It doesn't even look that different.
Yeah, it's different. It's showing the side profile. Look at that. Look at those lines.
This card is, I think, fine is the best way to describe this card.
This card has a lot of synergy with other cards, like printed synergy rather with other cards.
Yeah. It has printed synergy, but like if none of the printed synergy is particularly good, that's not really anything to write home about. This card is pretty decent. It's generally going to be draw the best labmen in your top 4, and that is an effect worth considering. But because you can't salvage this without playing complete garbage, we can just leave it at that. It's a fine card to just have. Unavoidable sacrifice.
No.
I get it. Like, I totally get why they have so many different arts of this. That's totally reasonable. I think that's fine in terms of flavor. But did you really have to do this? Come on, guys. Like, really?
Sad. They even
Oh my
showed the
god,
one where she gets slimed.
jellified.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. Ugh.
Ugh.
This is Saika's wish for Mayuri. It's fine. I'm not going out of my way to play Mayuri just for this. Like, we are
Good
long
thing you
past the
have
age.
Myris to run anyways.
Yeah, like, look, we're long past the age
Nice,
where
nice.
we give cards like bumps in grades just for having Saika's wish synergy. I don't think we're at that point anymore. Like, we're definitely long past Volume 2 of or Rebellion or whatever it was called.
We have one
Yeah, it's
last
a
card.
fine. We do? No, we do. It's a PR? PR.
Yeah. It's yellow because I
Why?
forgot it. About it
This is
completely.
your stupid standby
Yeah,
thing, right?
alright, yeah. So you run
1/1.
4 copies of this and 4 copies of the blue one. So you're basically you're very, very likely to open the 1/1 at level 0, basically, is what's happening here.
Yep, and on that end, we're going to end the blue cast because that strategy makes my head spin in bad
No, it's
ways.
totally worse. You underestimated at your peril.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Let me
I
give this a
underestimated
C
my peril.
plus. This is a fine card too in standby deck. I really like these cost 1 plus effects. It's
Yeah,
not a meme.
it is definitely a meme. On a serious note, I do think that that sort of plussing effect is pretty decent. Because when it gets used, chances are they reverse your whole board. Come now,
Yeah,
it's just a one
it's
cost
also
plus
the
when it
best
happens.
target I think for level 0 standby play.
I don't disagree with that. I'm almost certain you're correct because there's not really much else.
It's a
But
1/1.
um,
I think this is
yeah,
strictly better than Hand on Core at that phase of the game because it's just
I think it's
the
just
stock
strictly
matters
better in
less.
hand on call full stop. Like
No, I don't
um,
think so. I mean, it's like
it's very very close
I
to being
mean,
strictly better.
it's like a question of how valuable is the stock versus the hand, right?
Eh, eh, eh. I think this is just better in almost every situation.
I'm sure. Still run both.
In your silly meme deck. All right, and we'll be back with the overview shortly.